It's time for another closer look at a key Kentucky Derby contender. And here's your host, Magic.
So let's head over here. We're going to go take a look at the Kentucky Derby. And Mike and I are going to try and give our top five here as it stands, a little updated here. Epicenter at the top here on the Kentucky Derby leaderboard is he's been my number one for months. So, of course, he's still my number one in this spot. Mike, is he now number one for you? You have been a White Barrio fan for a long time.
He took over the number one spot for me this weekend because he showed the ability to rate, and I trust the connections of Epicenter more than I trust the connections of White Barrio.
So let's go through here. Go ahead and give me your top five. Epicenter is number one. Let's go back down to five. Where are you going for fifth?
Fifth, I'm going to go with Classic Causeway. Done absolutely nothing wrong. I think it's an interesting move to send this horse to the Florida Derby instead of keeping him at Tampa. Or instead of just kind of training him up to the actual Kentucky Derby. But that's going to make the Florida Derby one hell of a race. We now have Charge It. We've got Classic Causeway. We've got White Barrio. We've got Simplification that are all banging heads. So you're going to have multiple horses in my top five that are going to go at it in the Florida Derby. And that's going to become the San Antonio Derby and the Florida Derby now just stacked and just exceptional preps. So I'm excited to see both of those races and kind of see where they run. The other four horses in my top five are coming out of those two races.
For me, number five, I am going to go with Zandon down here for Chad Brown. The more I think about this horse, I know he's growing on me. He's going to go to the Bluegrass Stakes for his second start. And listen, I'm putting him number five, Mike. I'm saying he's going to be fifth in the Kentucky Derby. Don't freak out on me here. Zandon, I think, has got the ability to sit closer than he has done in some races, hasn't always had clean trips. And that's not something that you want to say about a horse going to the Kentucky Derby. But I think if this horse gets a favorable draw, gets somewhere in the middle of the pack, Kentucky Derby is going to be his third start. He's going to the Bluegrass Stakes. I think he's going to be not only going to have a strong chance to win that race, but I think he's going to get a strong chance to win the Bluegrass and come out of it and be very strong for the Derby. I think he's a very logical hit the board type. I don't think he's got any chance of winning, but I do think that compared to the rest of this field, with the upside that he's shown, remember how lightly raced he was and how quickly Chad Brown pushed him into the deep end when he doesn't normally do that with his horses. I do like Zandon here to be number five in my Kentucky Derby top five.
All right, that's a choice. That's something, man. I am anti-Zandon, and I'm excited to talk about the award that he is up for in the future because I am now very happy I put him on that list. Coming in number four for me here, I'm gonna go. That's the wrong list. I'm going to go with Simplification at number four. Looked really good last time in Florida. Looked actually very good in both of the two Florida preps that we've seen. Excited to see what he does in the Florida Derby. He had some issues with switching leads. That's obviously been a problem. We're going to get to see him and White Barrio go at it again. It'll be interesting to see the trips that they each get. Simplification has had two tough trips in both of those Florida preps. And has done very well in both of them, running second and winning the last one, obviously. So interested to see what Simplification does in the Florida Derby. Right now, he's sitting number four on my Kentucky Derby list.
I have Classic Causeway fourth, so I will talk about Simplification. He's not on my list, and you touched on a huge one. The horse still struggles to change leads in the stretch, and the distances as they get longer, he now will no longer be going that short stretch, right, at Gulfstream. He's now going to do a mile and 8, so he has to do the full stretch at Gulfstream. And as the distances get longer with horses that don't change leads, they're not getting that burst of energy. That's why changing leads is so important. Is it's almost like they're finding like taking a deep breath real quick and changing gears. It's like that last little nitrous burst a little bit in the stretch. If he's not doing that at a mile and 8, a mile and a quarter is going to be even harder for him. So that's my concern. If Antonio Sano, if he can figure out how to fix that with this horse, whatever it takes to do it, I think this horse has got a legitimate shot to win the Kentucky Derby. But until he does that, he's completely off my list. So that's where I landed with him.
And that's the thing is you have that additional upside built in here if he does learn to do that. You also have the diversity that I love about Simplification, where he can win on the lead, he can win close to the pace, or he can come from off it. And we've seen him be successful doing all three. To me, that's a huge plus when you're talking about a field of 20 horses where a lot can go wrong in the race.
And a horse that has, along with struggling to change the leads, has had issues before breaking. It comes and goes with him. But with the Derby, with 19 horses in the gate around him, it's very crucial that you break clean. So I get a little bit of a diciness, but that's probably why you have him fourth and not second overall. Where do you want to go number three here for your Derby top five?
First time making a list for me because now he is in the Timyak Teen Barn. I'm throwing Messier at number 3. I'm interested to see what Messier can do stretching out here. We're going to see him at the Santa Anita Derby next. He and Forbidden Kingdom are going to knock heads early. It's going to be interesting to see how they end up pressing each other, who makes the lead, and how he's able to handle the distance. So I've got Messier sitting at 3 simply because he's less proven than my top 2.
Just seeing Ashley in the chat. Good to see you. Ashley was a big part of the Louisiana Derby show on Saturday, too. Classic Causeway off the board in Kentucky. That's a big prediction. Listen, the Classic Causeway is a speed horse. And that speed horse is, if he doesn't hold on for a mile and a quarter, if he gets hounded early, yeah, you could very easily see him kind of be boom or bust in this spot. Which is kind of ironic because number 3 for me is going to be a boom or bust horse coming up against Messier, and that's Forbidden Kingdom. I have him ranked number 3 here because this horse is just pure speed. He is a son of American Pharoah who won the Triple Crown in 2015. The problem is, Mike, carrying your speed as a sprinter, going a mile and a 16th when nobody's pressing you, it's not that hard, especially it's a track like Santa Anita that favors speed on the dirt. You're going a mile and an eighth against a horse like Messier in the Santa Anita Derby. That's boom or bust time for you. And if this horse is just so fast that nobody can even catch him in the Santa Anita Derby, that tells me he could probably do it in the Kentucky Derby as well, where he'll have to try and do it against Classic Causeway. But until he proves me that he can't do it, Forbidden Kingdom, I've got him number 3, Mike.
Yeah, that's look, both the preps in Florida and California, it's time to show out now. And we're going to find out who is real and who isn't. We obviously saw Epicenter is the goods. And now we're about to find out who's the goods in California. Because, look, Messier and Forbidden Kingdom, they're both going. And if they make the Derby, they're both going. We're going to find out who's better. It's just that simple. And so I'm excited to do that over at Santa Anita and see which one's able to get the job done. But for me, I would take Messier over Forbidden Kingdom. I'm awfully interested to see if Messier makes your list. Because if so, I have issues with Forbidden Kingdom being on your list. Because I don't think both of them can be in the top 5 because one is going to cook the other. And we're going to find out who the chef is and who the meal is in the Santa Anita Derby.
Where are you going number 2, buddy?
Number 2, I'm going to my boy, Barrio, who I had as number 1 up until this weekend. There's a lot of speed in the Derby. I've talked about it for a while. This horse has proven he can sit right off it. I'm a little worried about the connections. Obviously, not as much Derby pedigree as Asmussen, and that's one of the main reasons that I've got Epicenter sitting in my top spot. But White Barrio and what he was able to do in the Fountain of Youth, I believe it was, when he was able to stalk and pounce. He got a great trip, but man, he made the most of it, and he absolutely dusted Simplification, who came back to dust everybody else in the next 4 to prep. So I am going to have White Barrio at number 2. Love the diversity again. I love the fact that he is able to sit and pounce. He's able to show speed if he needs it. He can make his own trip. Yeah, he tripped out, but you know why he tripped out? Because of talent. The same reason Epicenter tripped out. He was able to sit behind the speed and just turn loose, but he had enough speed to sit close so no one else could really press him. So until further notice, aka the Florida Derby, I'm going to have White Barrio sitting at number 2.
Listen, you've been high on him, and he's a horse that just missed the list for me. And this is his proving time, right? He wins the Holy Bull Stakes, and immediately after the Holy Bull, they said, we're going to skip the Fountain of Youth and go straight to the Florida Derby because Saffie Joseph Jr. wants the Kentucky Derby to be the horse's 3rd start. And he had a horse in New York traffic that, yes, it was the COVID year in 2020, a little bit disrupted, but was able to campaign New York traffic quite nicely as a 3-year-old. So the trainer definitely knows how to handle things. For number 2, I have a horse here, Mike, that is not an absolute speed horse as you think he's going to be. Number 2 is Messier, a horse that has proven that he can sit off the pace and win, which is what he did in the Bob Hope Stakes. It's what he did to break his maiden. It's what he's going to be able to do against Forbidden Kingdom if that horse can't handle a mile and eighth. But the reason they're both in my top 5, despite the fact they're facing each other, is I think they have 2 very different styles, Mike. I think that Messier is like Epicenter, where, yes, he can set the pace, but I think he's ultimately best sitting off of it. Forbidden Kingdom, it's one thing. It's boom or bust. It's go, go, go until we can't go no more. And because of that, I don't see an issue having them both on here. I think that even if they finish 1-2 in the Santa Anita Derby, which is what I'm banking on, and that's not, breaking any news here. I think they're going to be the 2 shortest prices by quite a bit in that race. But my point is, I think that they'll both be 1-2. They'll both put up very credible efforts. And a lot of the post draw is going to be, or a lot of the Derby post draw is going to matter so much for these horses. I really think that whatever happens, whoever wins and doesn't win in the Santa Anita Derby will still go to Kentucky with full head of steam.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think they're going to run 1-2 in Santa Anita. I just think it's going to be awfully interesting to see how it goes down. I think Messier is going to go. We'll see what happens, but I think Messier is probably going to go with Forbidden Kingdom. I think, Baffert's seen enough horses of his I'm sorry. Tim Yakteen has seen enough Baffert horses not be able to run down Forbidden Kingdom in the stretch at this point that I think you're probably going to see a little more pressure from Messier than you may have if, some of those results have been flipped earlier in the season. Yeah, look, they're both going to be in the Derby. I think they're both going to run 1-2 in Santa Anita. I think we're just going to find out which one's better. And I think it's going to be pretty obvious, especially when you consider that they're going to stretch out another eighth of a mile in Kentucky and go 1.25 miles after going 1.8 miles at Santa Anita. So I think that race is going to be very telling. And I would be very surprised if both of these horses hit the board in the Derby.
That's our Kentucky Derby top 5. HoweverRaceNews.com. We've got you covered with free picks for every race, every track around the country. Full coverage of the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks at youtube.com/racing dudes. Hit like if you like the video, subscribe if you really like it. Tell us below who is in your top 5. We'll see you at the track.
And we both have Epicenter at 1, by the way, since Matt didn't.
Absolutely. We said that at the beginning. That should have been Epicenter's literally in the photo that's right here. If you couldn't figure it out, we love Epicenter.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,